The long-awaited RTX 5080 has finally landed, and of course, the first question everyone's asking is it really as powerful as the hype suggests? Or is NVIDIA just flexing marketing muscles again? More importantly, if you're sitting on an RTX 4080 right now, should you even think about upgrading? Well, today we're diving deep into the numbers, the real-world performance, and of course, some spicy insights you won't find anywhere else. So, let's cut the fluff and get right into it. The RTX 5080 is here to replace the already beastly RTX 4080, promising better performance, improved power efficiency, or so they say, and AI-enhanced features that are supposed to redefine gaming. But the real question is, how much of that is true? Because, let's be real, NVIDIA has been known to, let's just say, stretch the truth in their marketing before. First up, spec check. Now, I know you're probably expecting a fancy comparison table right about now, but let's be honest, raw specs don't tell the full story. That being said, the RTX 5080 does bring a few noticeable changes: more CUDA cores, a higher clock speed, and an upgraded memory bandwidth that should, in theory, provide a significant performance boost. But theory and reality, well, they don't always match. That's why we ran some real tests to see just how much of a difference this new flagship GPU actually makes. Starting with Cyberpunk 2077, a game so demanding it basically doubles as a GPU stress test. With ray tracing off and all settings maxed out, the RTX 5080 pulls ahead by about 13 to 14% over the RTX 4080. Not bad, right? But here's where things get interesting. When we turn on full ray tracing with DLSS in performance mode, the gap between the two cards shrinks dramatically. This is where things start to get a little strange. Given the increased power and improved architecture of the 5080, you'd expect a bigger leap, but the numbers tell a different story. Now, before we go all NVIDIA lied to us, let's consider the elephant in the room: drivers. The RTX 5080 is running on fresh, not yet fully optimized drivers, so performance inconsistencies are to be expected. But if you're dropping serious cash on a new GPU, should you have to wait months for performance to catch up? Something to think about. Moving on to some other tests, we ran the classic 3D Mark benchmarks, and here's where the 5080 starts flexing a bit. In synthetic tests, we're seeing anywhere from a 20 to 25% performance boost over the RTX 4080, which is more in line with what you'd expect from a generational leap. However, synthetic benchmarks only tell half the story. What really matters is in-game performance, right? So let's talk esports titles. If you're a competitive gamer, you know that frame rates are everything. In games like Valorant and CS2, the RTX 5080 does push out higher frame rates. But the real question is, do you actually need 700 plus FPS when your monitor is capped at 240 Hz? Sure, more frames are always better, but we're well into the zone of diminishing returns here. If you're rocking an RTX 4080, the upgrade just doesn't seem worth it, unless you're chasing absolute peak performance for the sake of it. Alright, enough gaming. Let's talk productivity. We put the RTX 5080 through the ringer with creative workloads, and this is where things get really weird. In CUDA-based rendering tasks like Blender and V-Ray, the 5080 sometimes falls behind the 4080. Yeah, you heard that right. The new king of GPUs losing to its predecessor in some tests. Why? Well, once again, early drivers could be the culprit, or maybe NVIDIA is fine-tuning their AI-accelerated workflow optimizations behind the scenes. Either way, it's something to be aware of if you're a content creator looking at the 5080 for work. And before we wrap up, let's talk about power consumption. The RTX 5080 isn't just fast, it's also thirsty. Under full load, this thing pulls around 360 watts compared to the 320 watts of the 4080. That's an extra 40 watts, which doesn't sound like much, but if you're running a high-end rig, every watt counts. And let's not forget, more power means more heat, and more heat means, well, let's just say your PC might start doubling as a space heater this winter. So, what's the final verdict? Is the RTX 5080 the game changer we were hoping for? Well, yes and no. If you're coming from an RTX 3080 or older, the 5080 is a fantastic upgrade that will future-proof your setup for years to come. But if you already own an RTX 4080, the gains just aren't substantial enough to justify the cost, at least not yet. NVIDIA's driver updates might squeeze more performance out of this card in the coming months, but as of right now, the difference isn't night and day. Bottom line, the RTX 5080 is a powerhouse, but it's not the revolution some were expecting. If you're a hardcore enthusiast with cash to burn, sure, go for it. But if you're hoping for a jaw-dropping performance leap, you might be better off waiting for the inevitable RTX 5090 or a more optimized software stack. And with that, our deep dive into the RTX 5080 versus RTX 4080 comes to a close. Stay tuned for more insane GPU comparisons, and let me know, would you upgrade, or are you holding out for something even better?
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe and hit the bell to the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end and see you in the next video.